Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Statara Shata Shishamara Divine Grace Shila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Kodi Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda So we'd wait to get Adhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinda Ki Jai Jai Shishi Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Ganga Devi Jamuna Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Shrimati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Shamaveda Vrinda Bhakti Vrinda Shamaveda Ki Jai I'm so sorry Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Purushottama Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Shishi Radha Kalachanji Dham Ki Jai Barihat Mridanga Ki Jai Transcendental Book and Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai Yuga Dharma Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Gaura Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to the daily morning Srimad Bhagavatam class at Sri Sri Radha Kalachandjitam. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari जय गोपीजना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनतीरावनचारी यमुनतीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यशोदानन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जना यमुनतीरावनचारी यमुनतीरावनचारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Stotra Sada Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrind Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We can do the prayers together if it's... Dino, can you pull it up? Okay. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayet. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरोन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साह्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितां तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते. तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने. नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. We are continuing with a reading of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Samam Bonam. We are on chapter 6 today. Starting chapter 6, we'll go from text 1 all the way through text 18. Text 3 is our focus verse for today, but I want to do text 8 as well. So let's start the translations from text 1.
Sukadev Goswami continued, My dear king, while Nanda Maharaj was on the way home, he considered that what Vasudeva had said could not be false or useless. There must have been some danger of disturbances in Gokula. As Nanda Maharaj thought about the danger for his beautiful son Krishna, he was afraid, and he took shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Controller.
So in the previous chapter, Nanda Maharaj had gone from Gokul to Mathura to pay taxes to Kamsa. And there he met Vasudeva. And Vasudeva had given him a warning that be careful, there are going to be disturbances happening in Gokula. So when returning back from Mathura to Gokula, he's thinking about it. This is how this chapter starts. And his reasoning is that anybody can say anything, but if Vasudeva says something, it has to be truthful. We've seen this already on his truthfulness, on how he gave his children to Kamsa because he gave his word. So this is one of the qualities of Vasudeva. So he was thoroughly convinced that there is going to be disturbances and immediately his reaction was, can you go a little bit up? Was to take shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Controller. This is the immediate reaction of a devotee, is that when there is danger, the first thing that they do is take shelter of the Supreme before trying to figure it out. Right? We try to figure it out, and then when you're not able to do anything, then we say, oh Krishna, I'm not able to do things. But their first reaction is, let me first take shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So that's what Nanda Maharaj did on his way back from Mathura to Gokula. Let's continue.
While Nand Maharaj was returning to Gokula, the same fierce Putana, whom Kamsa had previously engaged to kill babies, was wandering about in the towns, cities and villages, doing her nefarious duty.
Yeah. So have you heard of Putana before? Or is this the first time we are hearing of her in the Bhagavatam? Is this the first time we are hearing of Putana in the Bhagavatam, or have you heard of her before? You've not heard of her before. How many of you say we have not heard of her before? How many of you say we've heard of her before? Yes, we've heard of her before. Right in the third canto, we'll speak about that a little bit. We already know who Putana is from the perspective of Bhagavatam, but we're going to get to know more details of her in this chapter. Okay, so she's been doing her nefarious activities. The nefarious activities are really nefarious. Her activity was to just kill children. This is what she was doing. This is Putana. Okay, let's continue.
My dear king, wherever people is in any position perform their occupational duties of devotional service by chanting and hearing Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, there cannot be any danger from bad elements. Therefore, there was no need for anxiety about Gokul, while the Supreme Personality of Godhead was personally present.
Yeah, who's speaking this verse? Shukadeva Goswami is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. So when he was narrating this pastime, he saw this anxiety in Parikshit Maharaj's face. Oh, this Putana is going to Gokula. What is going to happen to Krishna? What is going to happen to the residents of Gokula? So he is pacifying him. We'll come back to this purport. But this verse is basically saying, don't worry, nothing is going to happen to Krishna. So we'll read what Prabhupada says in the purport when we come back. Okay, text 4.
Once upon a time, Putna Rakshasi, who could move according to her desire and was wandering in outer space, converted herself by mystic power into a very beautiful woman, and thus entered Gokula, the abode of Nanda Maharaj.
She had these great mystic powers. Yes.
Text 5 and 6. Her hips were full, her breasts were large and firm, seeming to overburden her slim waist, and she was dressed very nicely. Her hair was adorned with a garland of malika flowers, was scattered about her beautiful face. Her earrings were brilliant, and as she smiled very attractively, glancing upon everyone, her beauty drew the attention of all the inhabitants of Vraja, especially the men. When the gopis saw her, they thought that the beautiful goddess of fortune, holding a lotus flower in her hand, had come to see her husband Krishna.
Yeah, that's how incredibly beautiful she was. I remember many years back, we had a friend visit our house, and then you have this 4-part Krishna book with pictures for kids. You've seen that book? It's like the entire Krishna book summarized, but then they have like huge pictures of every pastime. So he came to our house. He was like, I think 3 years, 4 years old, And then I took the Krishna book and then I was wanting to reading to him, and somehow or the other I just flipped the page and it landed on the Putana chapter. And it's horrible. That picture is very like gory because Putana has fallen on the ground, and I mean he started seeing it and started crying and started running away. for a children's book which is supposed to be read to kids, that picture was really gory for him. But that was the actual form of Putana. She was horrible. I mean, you couldn't imagine. But then this is how, using her mystic power, she had turned herself into a incredibly beautiful woman that everybody thought this must be the goddess of fortune herself. Then they let her in. And in fact, the acharyas say this is it's not possible for anybody to enter Vraja like this. It's the spiritual world. So how is it possible that she just waltzed in to Vraja? It's not that they let them in, it's the Leela Shakti of the Lord who allowed her to come in. Or else it was impossible for Putana to get into Gokula. So the acharyas say it's not just because of her mystical power, she was flying everywhere and she could use the same mystical powers in Gokula also. But it's just that the Leela Shakti of the Lord allowed this to happen in Vraja. That's why she could come in and exhibit some of her powers. Okay, let's continue.
While searching for small children, Putana, whose business was to kill them, entered the house of Nanda Maharaj unobstructed, having been sent by the superior potency of the Lord. Without asking anyone's permission, she entered Nanda Maharaj's room, where she saw the child sleeping in bed, his unlimited power covered like a powerful fire covered by ashes. She could understand that this child was not ordinary but was meant to kill all demons.
So this verse also tells that very clearly, right? Having been sent by the superior potency of the Lord. This is how she could enter Vraj. And Krishna was lying there like a small baby. And you know how old Krishna was when Putana came? No. Few days. 6 days. He was just born. 6 days. And he was like very tiny, if you've seen like really newborn babies. So this is Krishna, but then it is described like he's fire covered by ash. You can see if you see expert brahmanas who perform sacrifices. When the fire is blazing, they can put some ash in the fire to cover it up for it not to blaze. And then after some time when they want it, the fire blazes. So Krishna was like that, he covered himself up thinking, oh, it's just a small baby. And yet she had some intuition, right? Oh, seems like an ordinary boy, but it's not really ordinary. Although how much ever you can cover Krishna, I remember this when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, I think, speaks about Mahaprabhu being the supreme. And Mahaprabhu covers his ears and says, no, why are you speaking to me about me being the supreme? I'm just a devotee. And then I think what he does is puts his hand on the sun and says, and Mahaprabhu is asking, what are you doing? I'm just covering the sun with my hand. This is what he says. You're trying to be like a devotee, but everybody knows you're the Supreme Lord. You can try to cover yourself up. But this is what Krishna was doing. He was like a small baby. But yet, even Putana could understand he was not ordinary. Okay, let's continue.
Lord Sri Krishna, the all-pervading Supersoul, lying on the bed, understood that Putana, a witch who was expert in killing small children, had come to kill him. Therefore, as if afraid of her, Krishna closed his eyes. Thus Putana took upon her lap him who was to be her own annihilation. Just as an unintelligent person places a sleeping snake on his lap, thinking the snake to be a rope.
So I want to come back to this verse. The acharyas see Krishna closing his eyes, and they gave some incredible realizations on why Krishna closed his eyes. So we'll speak a little bit about that. Okay, text 9.
Putana Rakshasi's heart was fierce and cruel, but she looked like an affectionate mother. Thus she resembled a sharp sword in a soft sheath. Although seeing her within the room, Yashoda and Rohini, overwhelmed by her beauty, did not stop her but remained silent because she treated the child like a mother.
Yeah. So this Bhagavatam description gives a very poetic description of the nature of Putana. It says it's like the sharp sword in a soft sheath. this is what Putana was doing. Her mentality was nefarious, and yet she was in the garb of a beautiful woman, trying to fool everybody. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says this Putana pastime can be compared to that of false gurus in this world, who are not there to look for the welfare of everybody. They are there for nefarious reasons, and yet project themselves to be God-men, so to speak, and they fool people. So he says this Putana's pastime is like false gurus. She's in the garb of a beautiful woman, but her intentions are horrible. Sharp sword in a soft sheath. Okay, let's continue.
On that very spot, the fiercely dangerous Rakshasi took Krishna on her lap and pushed her breast into his mouth. The nipple of her breast was smeared with the dangerous, immediately effective poison, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, becoming very angry at her, took hold of her breast and squeezed it very hard with both hands, and sucked out both the poison and her life.
Actually, this is how she would kill the children. She would put poison on her breasts. We've read so many descriptions of her being killer of children. Right? The Acharya say this was her method, where she would let the children suckle her breast and then give poison through that and kill them. And in Krishna's case, it didn't really work. He sucked the poison and her life air out of her. Okay, continue.
Unbearably pressed in every vital point, the demon Putana began to cry, "Please leave me, please leave. Suck my breast no longer." Perspiring, her eyes wide open, and her arms and legs flailing, she cried very loudly again and again.
Yeah, Prabhupada writes here, Krishna also began to kick her in the purport. The Rakshasi was severely punished by Krishna. She threw her arms and legs about, and Krishna also began to kick her with his legs to punish her properly for her mischievous activities. He didn't stop at suckling her breast, but then started kicking her also for all the things that she had done. Okay, please continue.
As Putana screamed loudly and forcefully, the earth with its mountains and outer space with its planets trembled. The lower planets and all directions vibrated. All people fell down, fearing that thunderbolts were falling upon them.
Yeah, that's how loud it was.
In this way, the demon Putana, very much aggrieved because her breast was being attacked by Krishna, lost her life. O King Parikshit, opening her mouth wide and spreading her arms, legs and hair, she fell down in the pasturing ground in her original form as a Rakshasi, as Vritasura had fallen when killed by the thunderbolt of Indra.
Yeah. So at this point, she had assumed her original form. The Bhagavatam says as a Rakshasi. Previously, she was looking like the goddess of fortune. But at this point, she had lost it because her mystic powers were not in her control anymore. She had left her body. So she couldn't keep on to that form. And she went back to her original form. And another thing the Acharyas say here is, the Bhagavatam specifically mentions she fell down in the pasturing ground, which means she was far out of Gokula by that time. Not even a tree was hurt. She went into open land and fell. So the Acharyas say nothing can happen to Gokula. Just like how Shukdev Goswami is reassuring. At that point, Parikshit Maharaj was thinking about, what could happen to Krishna? What could happen to the residents of Vrindavan? But as the Bhagavatam repeatedly says, residents or praja means all living entities. It's just not human beings like how we think of in this modern world. All living entities. So nothing happened to any living entity in Raj. She fell far outside in the meadows, in the pasturing grounds. Okay. 14.
O King Parikshit, when the gigantic body of Putana fell to the ground, it smashed all the trees within the limit of 12 miles. Appearing in a gigantic body, she was certainly extraordinary.
12 miles.
The Rakshasi's mouth was full of teeth, each resembling the front of a plow. Her nostrils were deep like mountain caves, and her breasts resembled big slabs of stone fallen from a hill. Her scattered hair was the color of copper, The sockets of her eyes appeared like deep blind wells. Her fearful thighs resembled the banks of a river. Her arms, legs, and feet seemed like big bridges, and her abdomen appeared like a dried-up lake. The hearts, ears, and heads of the cowherd men and women were already shocked by the Rakshasi's screaming, and when they saw the fierce wonder of her body, they were even more frightened.
Can you imagine somebody who was like the goddess of fortune, and then her nose was as big as a mountain cave? That's who she turned out to be. It was natural for them to be frightened seeing her.
Without fear, the child Krishna was playing on the upper portion of Putana Rakshasi's breast. And when the gopis saw the child's wonderful activities, they immediately came forward with great jubilation and picked him up.
Yeah. So this is a point that the acharyas make again and again, that Krishna is Krishna irrespective of the form that he is in. When he was born, as a newborn baby in the cell of Kamsa, he was the Supreme Lord. He could manifest his full potency. When he's 6 days old, seemingly like a small child, he is still the Supreme Lord. All his potencies are still there in him, irrespective of how he might look externally. So this is Krishna that she was dealing with. So let's go to text 3, which is the focus verse for today. The Sanskrit. Nayatra Shravanadhini Raksho Gnani Swakarmasu Kurvanti Satvatham Bhartur Yatu Dhanyascha Tatrahi Nayatra Shravanadhini Raksho Gnani Swakarmasu Kurvanti Satvatham Bhartur Yatu Dhanyascha Tatrahi. Please chant. Nayatra Shravanadhini Raksho Gnani Swakarmasu Kurvanti Satvatham Bhartur Yatu Dhanyascha Tatrahi. Nayatra Shravanadhini Raksho Gnani Swakarmasu Kurvanti Satvatham Bhartur Yatu Dhanyascha Tatrahi. Nayatra Shravanadhini Raksho Gnani Swakarmasu Kurvanti Satvatham Bhartur Yatu Dhanyascha Tatrahi. Nayatra Shravanadhini Raksho Gnani Swakarmasu Kurvanti Satvatham Bhartur Yatu Dhanyascha Tatrahi. Nayatra Shravanadhini Raksho Gnani Swakarmasu Kurvanti Satvatham Bhartur Yatu Dhanyascha Tatrahi. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Na, not. Yatra, wherever. Shravana Adini. The activities of bhakti beginning with hearing and chanting. Rakshagnani. The sound vibration to kill all danger and bad elements. Swakarmasu. If one is engaged in his own occupational duty. Kurvanti. Such things are done. Satvatam Bhartu. Of the protector of the devotees. Yatu Dhanya. Disturbing elements, bad elements. Cha. Also. Tatra. Tatrahi. There must be. Translation. My dear king, wherever people in any position perform their occupational duties of devotional service by chanting and hearing Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, there cannot be any danger from bad elements. Therefore, there was no need for anxiety about Gokula while the Supreme Personality of Godhead was personally present. Purport. Shukadev Goswami spoke this verse to mitigate the anxiety of Parikshit Maharaj. Maharaj Parikshit was a devotee of Krishna, and therefore when he understood that Putana was causing disturbances in Gokula, he was somewhat perturbed. Shukadev Goswami therefore assured him that there was no danger in Gokula. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung, Namashraya kari jhatane tumi, tahaka apana khaje. Everyone is thus advised to seek shelter in chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and remain engaged in his own occupational duty. There is no loss in this, and the gain is tremendous. Even from a material point of view, everyone should take to chanting the Hare Krishna mantra to be saved from all kinds of danger. This world is full of danger. Padam padam yad vipadam. Therefore, we should be encouraged to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra so that in our family, society, neighborhood, and nation, everything will be smooth and free from danger. So, this is the verse where Shukadev Goswami is pacifying Parikshit Maharaj, where he's saying, don't worry, this place is Gokula, and what happens in Gokula, he's giving some description of the activities. They perform devotional service, where chanting and hearing and all the others, Adi, it says, Shravanadhini, these activities of Bhakti Yoga, beginning with hearing and chanting, where the residents of Vrindavan are always hearing about Krishna, always talking to each other about Krishna, always thinking about Krishna. What can happen to such a place? So you don't be perturbed, you don't worry too much about it. It's we've just asked a question in the beginning of if we had heard about Putana before, right? And Parikshit Maharaj especially knew Krishna. In fact, Krishna saved Parikshit Maharaj in the womb of Uttara. So he knew Krishna was perfectly fine. Right? He had seen him much later when he was a 6-day-old boy. And yet when listening, he was feeling anxiety. When I was reading this, I was thinking, how is this possible? This is a person who knows this is history. And he has been very close to that part of time where he knew that Krishna was perfectly fine. And yet, when he's hearing this story, he's still feeling anxiousness. He's still feeling perturbed. And when I was reading this, another example that came to my mind was King Kulashekara. He was a great devotee of the Lord. He was an acharya of the Sri Sampradaya. He's one of the Alvars. And he was very much attached to Lord Ramachandra. And in his court, he would constantly have the Ramayana being recited. And when one day, this junction came where Mother Sita was kidnapped, he was so involved with the story that he immediately called for his army and said, let's go to Lanka. This evil Ravana has actually taken Mother Sita. This is many thousands and thousands of years later. And yet he was so involved in the story. So this is rasa. This is the nature of Srimad Bhagavatam. It is the mature fruit, right? Muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. When we get involved in the Srimad Bhagavatam, we are present there. And this transfer of rasa starts happening. It is not stories anymore. It is not theory anymore. We are present right there in that moment when things are happening. And Parikshit Maharaj, although he's heard about Putana before, and for those who said we've heard about Putana before, can you remember where we heard about Putana before? Where did we hear? Yes, this famous verse where Uddhava is speaking about the wonderful qualities of Krishna. Krishna has just left the planet, and Uddhava is meeting Vidura, and Vidura is asking, can you please share what Krishna spoke with you? Because just before leaving the planet, Krishna spoke at length with Uddhava. And then he is in a completely different emotional state. He's not able to think clearly, and he's thinking about all the different pastimes of Krishna, and he speaks this incredibly famous verse, right? Aho bakiyam stanakala kutam jigam sayapaya yadapya sadvi lebhe gatim datruchitam tatonyam kamva dayalum sharanam vrajema. He says, who else can Krishna be my ultimate shelter? Who can I take shelter of than this most merciful person? And Putana has a different name here. How is she referred to in this verse? Baki. Who is Baki? The sister of Baka. We're going to see about Baka also. This is Baka and Baki. They were tormenting everybody. So, Aho Bakiyam Sthanakalakutam. He's already spoken about this. How she had smeared poison all over her breasts and tried to kill Krishna. And yet, what did Krishna do? He gave her the position of Dhatri, a nurse in the spiritual world. So this is how merciful Krishna is. So how can I take shelter of someone more merciful than Krishna? This is how we are introduced to Putana in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Not from how Putana was, but from the aspect of the mercy of the Lord, on how even such a terrible person who came to kill Krishna was given the position of a nurse in the spiritual world. And in this verse especially, Prabhupada is emphasizing the glories of chanting the holy names of the Lord, on how it can give us protection from all fear and all danger. Prabhupada even goes as far as to say that there can be no anxiety when chanting the holy names of the Lord. So even materially, for somebody who is thinking, oh, I have so many problems in this world, what should I do? They should take up to chanting. Although chanting can give us much more than just fix our material problems and anxieties, Prabhupada is saying, at least at the most basic level, if you want to get rid of all your fear and anxieties, take up to this chanting. And this is something that is constantly repeated throughout the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. In the very beginning, when Parikshit Maharaj has stopped speaking and asked this question to Shukadeva Goswami, what is the question that he asks to Shukadeva Goswami? That actually starts the entire conversation of the Bhagavatam. Yeah, what is the duty of anybody in this world, especially for a person who's about to die? This is the question that triggers the entire conversation, right? And right in the beginning, I think in the first 10, 15 verses, Shukadeva Goswami says, Etan nirvidhyamananam ichchatam akuto bhayam yoginam ripanirnitam harer namanu kirtanam. He's given the solution already there. This is what you have to do, Parikshit. That you might have any desires, or you are completely free from all desires. The only way to remove all fear, Etan nirvidya mananam, is harer namanu kirtanam, is chanting the names of the Lord to remove fear. And in the first canto, we see akama sarva kamava moksha kama udharati tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusha param. Whether you have all desires, whether you don't have any desires, whether you have desires for liberation, it doesn't matter. Irrespective of what kind of desires you have, tivrena bhakti yogena, bhakti yoga, performance of devotional service, is the solution to everything. Which is what he says in this verse also, is that Shravana Adhini, the activities of Bhakti Yoga, beginning with hearing and chanting. Every time we hear this, we might think, oh, this is so simple. But Krishna is so merciful that he has made it so simple for us in the age of Kali. That although it might look simple, it is incredibly potent. The names of Krishna and Krishna are non-different. In fact, the Acharya said the names of Krishna are more merciful than Krishna himself. Where right now, we might not be able to see Krishna personally. Very few people can have darshan of Krishna in his threefold bending form. But Krishna's names are present. Anytime, anywhere, we can see Krishna. Kalachandji also has to rest. We cannot see him between 1 and 4. We cannot see him after 8:40. We have to wait to see Kalachandji, even if we come to the temple. And yet, Krishna's names are so merciful that he is available for us anytime, any place, in any situation, in any circumstance. Krishna's names are present. And this is our only shelter in this world. We might think we can take shelter of anything in this world and try to fix our problems. But we will see throughout the pages of Bhagavatam, especially in the 10th canto, the devotees of Vrindavan, the first thing that they do when they face danger is what? Yeah, they call Krishna, Balaram, Krishna, Balaram. This is all they do. They don't try to figure things out. In the land of Vraja, only Krishna and Balaram kill demons, my spiritual master says. Now, all the Vrajavasis, they are constantly calling out to Krishna and Balaram at times of danger. And this is the point, that when such an activity is happening, there can be no danger, there can be no fear in such a place. But yet we see the Vrajavasis are taking up anxiety, the Vrajavasis are fearful when Putana is coming. Especially, that's how this chapter began, on how Nanda Maharaj is very anxious. Oh, what is going to happen to my Krishna? Why do you think so? In this verse especially, he's saying there should be no fear when such an activity is happening. And yet, we see Nanda Maharaj having some amount of anxiety. And even in this section, we read how the residents of Vrindavan were shocked when they saw Putana fall. Why do you think so? Any ideas? This is transcendental anxiety, in the sense that this is, they don't feel the pain at all. Actually, there are few verses in the Bhagavatam that very clearly say this is not a material fear or material pain that the Vrajavasis are going through. In fact, this is something that Krishna does to increase the rasa between the devotee. Think about this. What is the relationship that Nanda Maharaj has with Krishna? He is the father of Krishna. And as all parents, we might know that usually parents take a healthy amount of anxiety about their children, thinking what's going to happen. This person is like that, she's doing that. So if Nanda Maharaj, of course the residents of Vrindavan know Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. In fact, in the Gopi Gita, they say it so many times that, oh Krishna, you're the supreme person. And yet, if we see that Nanda Maharaj always thinks like, oh, nothing is going to happen to Krishna, how is that exchange of relationship going to happen? If the father thinks, oh, this is the supreme personality of Godhead, I really don't need to take care of this person, everything will be taken care of, there is nothing to fear, it would not make any sense to have that relationship. So this is just the internal potency of the Lord creating these anxieties. This is not of how we take up anxiety in the material sense, in terms of the miseries that we get in this world, in terms of adhyatmika, adi bhautika, adi daivika. This is all done by the internal potency of the Lord. So this verse, we can speak so much about just the holy names and how they give us so much fearlessness. But I want to go to text 8, where it is mentioned that when Putana came in, this is what Krishna was doing. Lord Sri Krishna, the all-pervading supersoul, lying on the bed, understood that Putana, a witch who was expert in killing small children, had come to kill him. Therefore, as if afraid of her, Krishna closed his eyes. Thus Putana took upon her lap him who was to be her own annihilation, just as an unintelligent person places a sleeping snake on his lap, thinking the snake to be a rope. So many things in this, just this verse. But therefore, as if afraid of her, Krishna closed his eyes. It gives away that he is not really afraid of her, but he closed his eyes. So why did he close his eyes? And this is a small purport, but Prabhupada gives his realization on why. It's actually a very unique realization, what Prabhupada gives in the purport. In this verse, there are two perplexities. When Krishna saw that Putana had come to kill him, he thought that since this woman was present with motherly affection, although artificial, he had to offer her a benediction. Therefore, he looked at her with a little perplexity. You know what perplexity means? Confusion. This is Prabhupada's realization. He looked at her with a little perplexity and then closed his eyes again. Putana Rakshasi was also perplexed. she was not intelligent enough to understand that she was taking a sleeping snake on her lap. She thought the snake to be an ordinary rope. The two words, antakam and anantam, are contradictory. Because of not being intelligent, Putana thought that she could kill her antakam, the source of her annihilation. But because he is ananta, unlimited, no one can kill him. Prabhupada is giving a few explanations for this verse, but this specific realization that Prabhupada has is very unique because of how he feels Krishna was perplexed. He was a little confused. And why he was confused? Because her intention was to give milk, right? That's what Krishna thought. Oh, she's coming to give milk, but at the same time she's come to kill me also. So I don't know what to do at this point to figure out. Let me just let the Leela flow. I don't want to interfere at this point. This was Krishna's perplexity, Prabhupada says, on why he closed his eyes. He was a little confused on why she was coming here, what he should do at that point. So this is Krishna's mercy also. There is this incredible series by Radhikaran Prabhu on forgiveness. There he speaks about the different ways in which Krishna forgives and how he looks at certain things. And in this case, he gives the example of Putana, where her intention was horrible, right? What was her intention? Her intention was to kill Krishna. But her action was to give milk to Krishna. So what Krishna does in this case is he takes out the intention and sees, oh, she's come here to give milk, and he bestows his mercy upon her. And then the opposite, where the intention is good, but the action is bad. Can you give an example? Can you think of anything? Yeah. Vidura, this is the classic example, right? His intention was to really give bananas to Krishna, lovingly. And yet, what was he giving? He was giving him the banana peel instead of the banana. It was actually very offensive. When you call a guest, make him sit down, and then you want to feed him something, and yet you're throwing out the banana and giving the peel. It's not so great. So, but there Krishna was actually seeing the intention and not the action, and saying, oh Vidura, it doesn't matter whether you give me the peel or the banana, but your intention was incredible. Krishna also bestows the mercy when your intention is wrong and your action is also wrong. Can you think of any example where your intention is wrong and the action is also horrible?
All the demons?
Indra's son Jayanta? I don't know. Can you say what? What is the one quality that in first two cases Krishna didn't really expect of anything from these people, right? Putana didn't ask for forgiveness, and yet Krishna gave her this incredible position of a nurse. And similarly, in the case of Vidura, I'm sure he asked for forgiveness once he realized it, but then Krishna was not really expecting it. But the classic case that I can think of is the picture that we have in the back of Krishna lifting the Govardhan hill of Indra, where his intentions was horrible and his action was horrible also. His intention was to kill the Vrajavasis, and his action was exactly the same. He was sending in rain that was to be sent at the time of annihilation into a small village. It's really an overkill. And Krishna forgave him also, but the one thing that Krishna expected was for him to ask for forgiveness, for him to realize, oh, I'm sorry, I was out of my mind, I didn't know what to do. So this is the merciful nature of Krishna. So because of that merciful nature of Krishna, he was a little perplexed, Prabhupada says. Actually, so many acharyas have given so many reasons to why Krishna closes his eyes. I know I'm going over time, but give me 5 minutes and I'll be done. So Baldev Vidyabhushan says, he closed his eyes because he wanted to avoid witnessing the death of Putana. He didn't want to see it. It was going to be so agonizing that Krishna didn't want to see it. This is why he closed his eyes. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives 5 reasons on why Krishna closed his eyes. He says, 1, to show that he was a small child and is afraid of demons. To keep him in cover. Oh, I am still a small child, so I should act accordingly. So as a small child, I'm afraid of demons, so I should close my eyes. So let me first close my eyes. was Krishna's thought process, he says. And he says, in order to avoid seeing such an inauspicious demon, Krishna closed his eyes. She was, as we've read, killing children. So he didn't want to see her at all. This is Krishna. He didn't want to see Putana at all. And the third reason Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says is no cheating can remain in the vision of the Lord. And when you're coming in the vision of the Lord, and if he sees, Putana was cheating, right? He was a demon, but coming in the garb of a beautiful woman, and she will not be able to sustain it. So Krishna thought, if I see her, then my vision will purify her, and she will not be able to cheat anymore. So I should close my eyes. Krishna was thinking like this, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. And the next reason he gives is he was actually feeling a little embarrassed. He was saying, why? Because she was going to kill a woman who was coming as his mother, giving milk. Although that was not her intention, but Krishna was feeling this way. I'm going to kill this woman who has come in the garb of my mother, really coming to come and give me milk. I really don't want to kill her, but what to do? So he was feeling a little embarrassed. So he closed his eyes, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. And then again, he echoes something that Baldev Vidyabhushan says also. He didn't want to see her suffering. This was Krishna. Sanatana Goswami also says many of these same things that Vishwanath Chakravarti says Sanatana Goswami, what Sanatana Goswami says. But he gives an incredible realization, Sanatana Goswami. He says he could not bear to see her killed because she was wearing a clothing like Rohini. When Putana came, when Krishna saw this, she was wearing a clothing like Rohini. Who was Rohini? Balram's mother, right? She was Krishna's mother. So he couldn't bear to see it. So he closed his eyes. Sanatana Goswami adds. And the next three, I have three more, and these are very beautiful actually. This is this devotee called Hari Parshad Prabhu. He's visited Dallas many times. He has this entire series on Putana, where he speaks about this devotee called Hari Shori, who has written commentary on the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, on all the activities of Krishna in Vraj, where he says Krishna gave him personal darshan and told him to give the reasons for why Krishna does certain things in Vraj. So this devotee has written commentary on why Krishna does certain things. So there he says, he picks this word in this verse called Chara Charatma. Chara means moving, Achara means non-moving, Atma means one who is a life of moving and non-moving. So Krishna is described in this verse, text 8, as one who is the Atma, the life of moving and non-moving. And Krishna was about to drink poison, and we know the entire universe is present in Krishna's belly. So all the moving and non-moving entities in this universe are present inside Krishna's belly, and he was going to drink poison. And everybody was in great anxiety. Oh, he's going to drink poison, actually, and it's going to come on all of us. So in order to pacify them, this devotee says, Krishna had to turn inward. He had to go inward. So he closed his eyes and went to console everybody and saying, don't worry, nothing is going to happen. This is why he says Krishna closed his eyes. Actually, he says he gave 15 different explanations, just this one devotee, on why Krishna closed his eyes. And he mentioned just two in that. So the second one is sweeter, even more sweeter. So Krishna is thinking, this devotee is saying, if I look at her with compassion, she would become purified. If I look at her with anger, she would be burnt. Better I don't look at her at all. This was what Krishna was thinking. In order to let the Leela unfold, Krishna was thinking, if I look at her, she'll be purified. Right? This is something that Vishwanath Chakravarti says also. And if I look at her with compassion, she'll be purified. If I look at her with anger, she'll be burnt to ashes. So I don't want to do either. I want to let the Leela unfold. So let me close my eyes. And he also gives the last one, I think the sweetest of all, is by an acharya called Sri Shukasudhi. He says he's from the Nimbarka Sampradaya. He says, it is indicated by the Lord here that even if one worships him with deceit, This is what Putana was doing. Even if one worships him with deceit, the Lord can still become controlled by such a person. How is he controlled by such a person? Because he allowed, in this verse it says, he allowed Putana to lift him and put him on her lap. It can happen only when Krishna allows it to happen. We will see in the future, in a few chapters, that sometimes he doesn't even let Mother Yashoda lift him up when he doesn't want to. Especially when Trinavarta was about to come, he became so heavy that Mother Yashoda had to put him down. She couldn't hold him. So this devotee quotes that and says, even if you are worshipping Krishna with deceit, this is his merciful nature. He becomes controlled by you. Can you imagine? This is why Uddhava says, Aho baki yam sthana kala kutam. How can anybody be more merciful than Krishna? How can I take shelter of anybody more merciful than Krishna? And Prabhupada's purport is more poetic than the verse itself. He says, the Lord takes the least qualification of a living entity and awards him the highest reward. Who else but the Lord can be our ultimate shelter? Prabhupada says. He takes the least qualification of a living entity and awards him the highest reward. This is what he did with Putana. Right? Least qualification. He was coming to kill, but this one thought that she wanted to give him milk. The least and awards her the highest reward of being the nurse eternally for him in the spiritual world. This is Krishna. So this is Putana Leela. So many things to speak, but the acharyas just say one thing they notice. Right? Like this, for every single action, the acharyas give us so many different realizations on why Krishna is doing something. And if you can remember one thing, our life is successful. Right? So many things the acharyas are telling us. But if you can remember one thing and meditate on just that one thing, this is Vishnu Smaranam. We are hearing, chanting, and then if it can push us into remembrance, our life is successful. So I'll stop here. I'm sorry I went way over time, but we have 6 more minutes. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Since you went over time, we can also all go over time.
You are the boss.
So I have a lot of questions, but I'll just ask 3. And you can answer any or one. So first is, Putana had this really terrible form, but she took the form of Lakshmi, or goddess of fortune.
Yeah.
So if somebody has that power to look good, did she not want to look like that all the time, or couldn't she control it, but she had to put some? That was one question. The second is in between we have compared Putana's falling of Vritrasura. Now that one, why Vritrasura was picked of all comparisons when we know Vritrasura was a devotee? So
actually, I'll forget. Let me.
Okay.
Or I'll forget your questions. See, I already forgot the first. Oh, why she was. So, this was not a natural form. This was a siddhi, like mystic potency that she had. And she chose to utilize it whenever she wanted. And most of the time, she chose to do it when she wanted to kill kids, where she would be easily approachable so that people wouldn't really see her original form and allow her in like how they did in Gokula. For the second example, this example of Vritrasura is actually very famous. It comes from the Rig Veda. So this is why this is mentioned, because when we have to give some examples, right, we have to give an example where people can relate. It's given in that context. It's not comparing Vritrasura to Putana, but the fall is being compared to how Vritrasura fell. And when you say Vritrasura, people know, because this is a story that's repeated constantly in so many different literature. So just because of how famous it is being compared to here. It's not that Putana is compared to Vritrasura. If I have to say something, oh, it was so loud, like a roaring of a lion, you say, right? All of us are familiar with the roaring of a lion and how loud it is. So you can imagine how loud it could have been. That's what it means. When she fell, it was like how Vritrasura fell. And in the Vedic literature, Vritrasura's pastime occurs so many times that it is assumed that when you're reading, you know what happened with Vritrasura. That's why it's there. Is that okay? Yes, yeah. Gokulananda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, wonderful class, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have heard mental speculation is not allowed, but philosophical speculation is allowed. So I am speculating philosophically. So one of the reasons I was thinking, probably Krishna, closed eyes, was
Yes.
probably he was thinking about Putana's past life,
Hmm.
who was Ratnamala,
Yes.
like Bali Maharaj's daughter, who felt motherly love. She wanted to breastfeed him,
Correct.
Vamanadev. And then next moment she saw how cheated
Yes.
her father, so she became angry and she wanted to kill him.
Kill him. Yeah.
That's how she became the diviness.
Yes, that's very true. This was her background. Yes, Anuradha Mataji. That she was the sister of Bali Maharaj. And when Vamanadev entered the assembly, she had such motherly love that she wanted to feed him. And yet when she found this was Vishnu, their enemy, she wanted to kill him. So Krishna satisfied both. Yes.
Hi Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much. The question you were asking previous to this, the verse about, why, though the gopis knew about he is the Supreme Personality of God and yet they get into anxiety. Same with Nanda Maharaj.
Yes.
So I was thinking, I was hearing a class by again Hari Parshad Prabhu on Nectar of Devotion, or rather Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, and these feelings of mamatva. And this is also, though it sounds very far out for, sadhaka like me, but then like when we do the dressing or we cook, there is also that sense like, when Krishna gets poked by a pin, it hurts us to whatever extent, not to the Nanda Maharaj or Yashoda Maya's extent, but to some extent. And that feeling is called mamatva, right? Krishna is me, mine. And what I was hearing in the class, and that's what differentiate the rasas, that 5 rasas we have. The Shanta rasa is the rasa that doesn't have the feeling towards Krishna as me and mine.
Yes.
So that's what I was thinking, that this feeling of mamatva makes them get through the anxiety, even if they know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. And otherwise, there will be no intimacy, there would be no intensity in the service. Anyway, Krishna will be filled, whether I cook or not, whether I dress or not. He is anyway beautiful by himself. We hear it, Srimad Bhagavatam all the time. How does it matter whether I put the stone here, earring, anywhere? But then it's the feeling that, this responsibility is mine and I need to do it as best to my ability, is what I was feeling when you were saying that.
And with that comes the rasa. That's what it is. Like vibhava, anubhava, satvika bhava, sthayi bhava.
Actually, I was hearing and he said that even like my brain couldn't comprehend it, but he says even Shantaras has all those 5 rasas as well. So I'm yet to hear that, but then Shantarasa is different than the other 4 rasas because it doesn't have me, mine feeling.
Correct.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, Krupa Maya, bro.
Thank you, Prabhu. I really appreciated some of your points, especially the one when you said that Krishna is always God, no matter what form he reveals himself, whether he's a child in the form of a 6-day-old baby,
yes,
or as a lifter of Govardhan Hill. And I was just reflecting on how when we chant the holy name, Krishna is also the same potency.
Yeah.
He's manifested in that particular form, and he's, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My question is that you spoke of how Krishna is so merciful, even though if our intentions are bad, but if our action is good, he can see that, he can take the slightest, speck of goodness.
Yes.
I was wondering, I know in my own devotional life, I have difficulty when dealing with other devotees.
Yes.
Like if I see a bad intention, I imagine they have a bad intention, then I think, negatively towards them.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you could maybe speak to that a little.
Yeah, this is only in relation to Krishna. When it is between devotees, Krishna doesn't interfere. In fact, he expects us to ask for forgiveness from the devotee. Krishna never interferes when one devotee does wrong to another devotee. And it is natural for us in this material world, because we're conditioned, we're not pure yet, we have so many different anarthas that we offend others. But what Krishna is expecting out of us is for us to recognize that we have offended the devotee and ask for forgiveness from the devotee, or else this is the biggest offense that we can create, right? In the chanting of the holy name is offending the Vaishnavas. So is that what you were asking, when we are dealing with each other and we see that somebody is offending us? Or so that's basically what it is, that we will offend each other because we are all still functioning based on our false ego, and different things poke different people. And Krishna uses that to purify us. But the idea is, at some point we have to become conscious that we're doing it and ask for forgiveness from that devotee. If we don't do it, then our progress in devotional service will be highly curtailed. This is, Mahaprabhu says, is like the mad elephant offense. It's just how an elephant is running around in a garden, it tramples on all the creepers. Our creeper of devotional service is heavily trampled if we start committing offenses to devotees. And devotees by themselves, like very advanced devotees, don't take any offense in the first place. But Krishna doesn't. Krishna takes offense. This is the point. You have, as devotees, we might not take any offense, but Krishna doesn't leave that. Krishna says, you have really hurt that other person, you have to figure out what to do. Go and ask for forgiveness. That's what it is. But Krishna is still merciful. When we ask for forgiveness, he takes out that blockage and lets us progress. But he's still expecting that we realize that. And very important in a community of devotees. Because I've heard this example where you put these stones that are really have sharp edges in a bag and start shaking it. And the stones rub each other, cut each other. But then at the end of it, all of them become very polished. Right? So when we are practicing devotees, all of us have so many different anarthas that we have to overcome. But there is a Vaishnava way to do it. If we offend somebody at the heat of the moment, we might not know it. But if we are really sincere, Krishna will point to us from within. Hey, what you've done is not proper. So you please go and ask for. At that point, we should take away our false ego and go and ask for forgiveness. Then it's up to the devotee what the devotee does. But at least we have done our side of. Is that okay? Did I understand it right?
Thank you.
Yes. Gokulanand Prabhu and then Mataji.
Kripamaya Prabhu, he's always asking for others. So
of course.
This is not a reply to his question.
Yes.
But coincidentally, this morning I was listening to a lecture by Radhana Swami, and this really touched me. And I was pondering over it, and he just brought it up.
Yes.
So I would like to share that.
Yes.
So
please.
this is not a reply to the question. So Radhana Swami said, when devotee is, not behaving with other devotee, and sometimes, as we see nowadays, so many issues, they are bringing it to the social media and different platforms where those issues should not be brought up. So he said, the bottom line is, I want to be in the center. The bottom line is, he said, I want to be in the center, So that is the source of all problems. That's why we bring it. I want the attention. He said, I forgot. I want the attention and I want to be in the center. Most of the times, that's why we take those issues to the public platform, forums and, social media, and very powerful point I just wanted to share.
Yeah, the offense is now magnified because of the access to social media. It's like a bullhorn where we can say anything to anybody and then it goes far and wide. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. I've seen some spiritual masters now asking for their disciples to vow that they won't put anything on the social media platform along with the 4 regulative principles. Which it's going to really harm everybody's progress in their practice of devotional service. As devotees, I mentioned this a few days back also, that how in the festival of Keturi, everybody with so many different opinions were still coming together. As devotees, although we might have so many differing opinions, we should all be at a point where we are at least coming together and singing and chanting together. We might have our differences, with variety will be there, but doesn't mean that the other person is an enemy or we don't treat devotees like that. When that happens, then it becomes this is a very Kanishta mentality, right? Where when thinking, I am the only great person, everybody else should listen to what I say. Mine is the only absolute opinion that's there. Even Krishna has so many different varieties of opinions. So yeah, over time, Nityam Bhagavata Sevya, hopefully if we are doing it right, it will purify us, and then we will be able to differentiate. I'll end with this. From a Kanishta Adhikari, we come to a platform of Madhyama Adhikari as we progress in our practice of devotional service. And the qualification of or the qualities of a Madhyamadhikari is he is friendly to the devotees, he is compassionate to the innocent, he avoids the envious, and all this is from the perspective of his love for Krishna, his love for God. And when I was asking a question to my spiritual master where I was in the crossfire of conflict between two devotees, I was asking, like, I don't know how should I deal with it. He was saying, these three things that are qualities of Madhyamadhikari are not three different people, he was saying. All of us have these qualities. All of us have an innocent side, all of us have an envious side, and all of us have a friendly side. He gave me this sutra, duck, pat, and smile, which I've tried to remember. He said you should duck the envious side of a person. When you've recognized that something you do is poking the other person, you don't keep doing it. You duck it, you avoid it. And then you should pat the innocent side. Everybody has an innocent side that you can preach to, speak to. You should pat that side. And then you should smile at the friendly side. All of us can have one or two common things. We might not agree on everything, but there is some common thing. Krishna is a supreme person. That all of us can agree, right? We should make friendships on few common things that we have. In that way, it becomes a very nice community of devotees. If we can duck, but we have to raise to the platform of Madhyamadhikari to recognize this, right? If we are so full of ourselves that we will not see another person, and from their perspective, then how will we recognize their envious side or their friendly side or their innocent side? We have to progress. That is why Hari Kirtan is very important. If we can intentionally chant and hear in the association of devotees, then we progress, and then we are able to see things from proper perspective and then progress further. Okay, we'll stop here. We've gone way over time. Thank you all so much for your attention. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavan